Since the start of 2020, countries such as the USA, Brazil, and majority of the world has continued to struggle under COVID-19. Rising case counts and death tolls are still the norm throughout the world, with only a few managing to defy this trend. New Zealand happens to be one of them, dominating the headlines for its near-perfect handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. But how did New Zealand eliminate COVID-19 not once but twice? And what does the island nation have which most countries don't? I am Dinesh from Logic Detector, and with this episode, we will answer the very same. Globally speaking, COVID-19 is a mismanaged crisis to say the least. Take for instance Brazil's Prime Minister Jair Bolsonaro, who had famously called COVID-19 to be a little flu. Brazil now has over 12.9 million cases recorded with a death toll of over 328,000 as of 5th April. But Bolsonaro is not alone. Many other nations did not handle the pandemic effectively either. Countries such as the USA, India, Germany, and Russia have failed to keep the pandemic under control. All the countries we just mentioned have their case counts in millions and death counts in several hundreds, and these are just a few instances. A glance in WHO's visualization for COVID-19, whose link can be found in this episode's description, will reveal how we have failed to handle the pandemic on a global scale. The darker the blue shading is, the worse the country has fared, and the lighter, the better. New Zealand defied this trend with one of the lightest shades on the map, with only over 2,500 reported cases and 26 deaths under Jacinda Ardern's government. Jacinda Ardern is New Zealand's 40th and youngest ever Prime Minister and is no stranger to global praise. Take into account the Christchurch terror attacks. On 15th March 2019, 51 people were killed and 49 were injured in two mosques. In response to the attacks, Ardern signaled her intention to introduce stricter firearm regulations, and on 10th April 2019, in less than a month after the attacks, the New Zealand Parliament passed a law that bans most semi-automatic weapons and automatic rifles, parts that convert guns to semi-automatics, and higher capacity magazines.
While work is being done as to the chain of events that led to both the holding of this gun licence and the possession of these weapons, I can tell you one thing right now. Our gun laws will change.
For comparison, the United States continues to struggle doing the same despite well over 100 mass shootings since 1982. Strategies deployed. New Zealand, as an isolated island, had good geographical advantage, but this was not enough to prevent the virus. It still found its way into New Zealand because almost all countries were welcoming international flyers until WHO declared COVID-19 as a global pandemic on 11th March 2020. New Zealand's strategies can be explained in two factors, that is, a fast and transparent lockdown procedure and high testing rates. As soon as the cases touched 100 and showed signs of community transmission, New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda decided that acting early and hard was the ultimate need of the hour. She also explained the whole lockdown procedure and rules to the citizens in a public briefing and ensured that there is no room to panic about the essential commodities and the stores for daily needs will remain open during the lockdown.
To be successful though, to stop community transmission, which does have a lag time, these measures will need to be in place for 4 weeks. Again, I want to reiterate to you, you will be able to make regular visits to essential services in that time. Your supermarkets will not close. Your pharmacy and pharmaceutical products will be available. You will be able to access medical services.
The New Zealand government not only conveyed the rules through Prime Minister's press conferences, but also used other effective modes of communication, such as messaging, to frequently reach the citizens and make them aware about the updates. The second factor to understand is high testing rates. The New Zealand health system had a capacity at one point to carry up to 8,000 tests per day, which is one of the highest testing rates per capita in the world. The New Zealand's Ministry of Health developed a technology system called the National Contact Tracing Solution, or the NCTS, which enabled accurate and timely information to be recorded and helped each region in New Zealand to coordinate and work together when required. The New Zealand government followed the pandemic guidebook, which is basically the consistent chain of finding, testing, isolating, and tracing the contacts, and then again repeating the very same cycle. Oksana Paisik, senior teaching fellow at London School of Pharmacy, told DW that these guidelines were every country's best defense against COVID-19, and this was how New Zealand succeeded in overcoming COVID-19. The results of New Zealand's planned response to the pandemic is clear. Currently, there are only 105 active cases across the country, and all these cases include people who have arrived from overseas and diagnosed at the country's border facilities. Recently, no case of local transmission was reported since more than a month. The most recent case of local transmission was recorded 41 days ago on 20th February this year. This shows how much the government as well as the citizens are keeping up with the COVID-19 precautions even after the lockdown is lifted. Leadership qualities. Although not as statistically evident as the strategies New Zealand had used, Jacinda's ability to lead New Zealand survive through the pandemic's peak has played an equally important role in its COVID-19 response. To understand this better, it can be broken down to three factors, that is, communication skills, maintaining a connection with the people, and convincing people to act. The first factor, that is communication skills, can be understood with American professors Jacqueline and Milton Mayfield's research into effective leadership communication. The research model focuses on three things, that is, direction giving, meaning making, and empathy that leaders must address. It also indicates that direction giving is mostly overused, with meaning making and empathy being underused. Part of Jacinda's success with her COVID-19 response lies in how she uses all three things well. The March 23rd press conference announcement of New Zealand's lockdown is a very good example of this, wherein she gives a well-written speech and answers media's questions with ample time. In contrast, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson used a pre-recorded video statement for his March 24th lockdown announcement, thereby denying the media from questioning him.
To be successful, though, to stop community transmission, which does have a lag time, these measures will need to be in place for 4 weeks. Again, I want to reiterate to you, you will be able to make regular visits to essential services in that time. Your supermarkets will not close. Your pharmacy and pharmaceutical products will be available. You will be able to access medical services.
That is why people will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes. Shopping for basic necessities as infrequently as possible. One form of exercise a day, for example, a run, walk or cycle, alone or with members of your household. Any medical need to provide care or to help a vulnerable person, and travelling to and from work, but only where this is absolutely necessary and cannot be done from home. That's all.
Jacinda had acknowledged the COVID-19 restrictions as an inconvenient but important measure, whereas UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson presented them as an instruction from the government. Compare the two speeches back to back and you will notice the underlying intention behind the two Prime Minister's words. And this is where Jacinda has the upper hand. With the responses and announcements, she expects New Zealanders to understand the meaning behind the lockdowns and the severity of the situation, whereas Boris Johnson mostly seeks the people to obey the government without question. The second reason is maintaining a connection with the people. Ardern had used daily televised briefings and regular Facebook live stream sessions to answer common questions her people might have.
Everyone, that I would jump online quickly and just check in with everyone really as we all prepare to hunker down for a few weeks. Now, many of you, of course, will have got the message from Civil Defence Systems this evening, the blast of the horn on your phone, and then some messages that we're really keen for everyone to stick to as we go through the next several weeks at home, as we all join together in the fight against COVID-19.
In addition to being in touch, she had developed a transparent framework, that is, the government's 4-level alert framework, to allow people understand what is happening and why. This framework was released and explained before the full lockdown was announced.
At alert level 4, the aim is to eliminate contact with each other, and that is what a full lockdown achieves. At level 3, restrict. There is still a high risk the virus can get out of control and bounce back, as we've seen in countries overseas. So the goal remains to restrict contact with one another as much as possible. That is why I recently described level 3 as the waiting room, or something like a recovery room. We have to wait and see if what we have done has worked. After a while, if we don't show further signs of illness, we can go back to a life that is a bit more normal, which is what alert level 2 really starts to feel like. If we deteriorate, then it's back to lockdown at level 4.
For reference, leaders from Australia and UK had resorted to often vague and confusing messages during lockdowns, convincing people to act. A major part of Jacinda Ardern's public commentary has revolved around encouraging New Zealanders to deal with collective problems such as the pandemic itself. The results are evident in a poll by Sticky Beak, a polling company which had measured the mood of the nation. Over 90% of the voters were ready to comply with a lockdown for 4 weeks after Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's press conference. 80% of the poll's participants felt positive about the New Zealand government's COVID-19 response. Criticism faced by Jacinda in New Zealand's COVID-19 response. Despite the positivity, Jacinda's COVID-19 response hasn't been free of negative commentary. Take for example, opposition leader Judith Collin, who had criticized the government for not testing border workers adequately, with reports stating that over 60% of the border workers had not been tested. Although Jacinda had admitted that the testing coverage wasn't as comprehensive or far-reaching as the government had expected to be, she defended that testing alone could not prevent the pandemic and that COVID-19 was not a straightforward management control issue. In her response to the opposition, Jacinda said, "I again would point out to the member that this is a virus, not a simple human we are dealing with. It is not a straightforward management control issue. Every country in the world has had an experience like in New Zealand. We happen to be in a much better position than most." Despite the inevitable criticism on certain occasions, Jacinda's COVID-19 response has been widely hailed to be one of the most effective across the world. Nature, an international science journal, had recognized her for her quick and decisive actions during the peak of the pandemic, and many widely believe her actions to be a part of the reason behind her re-election in 2020. As in case with the Christchurch terror attacks, Jacinda Ardern did what most of her Western counterparts have struggled to, that is, being a leader when her people needed her the most.